Lo mlayeto nulethelwa abaka EBC, Commission of Eswatini.
It has just gone 8 o'clock Central African time. Good evening and welcome to the news bulletin at 8, brought to you by Eswatini TV. I'm Sanbo Ngwane. I'm with Zamanzi Manzi. We're coming to you live from the Hospital Hill Studios in Bamane. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. And for your top stories at 8, we dive straight into it and we take a look. The King and Ingwenyama, His Majesty King Mswati III, has dissolved the Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini at Sibaya. The temperatures will continue to be less than 20 degrees this week. The United Nations Population Fund commends the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini for signing the third-party procurement agreement for the reproductive health commodities. Hello again, and now for the news in detail. The King and Ingwenyama, His Majesty King Mswati III, has dissolved the Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini at Sibaya. Addressing the nation that responded to the royal call in large numbers to Lutizini residents, the King and Ingwenyama commended the great work that has been done by the outgoing members of Parliament and further called upon the parliamentarians that would be elected to continue doing great for the kingdom.
The nation heeded the royal call by His Majesty the King, came out in large numbers and converged at Sibaya, the highest decision-making forum in the land. Mswati came from far and wide to listen to an all-important address by His Majesty the King. This royal command is important to Mswati and it has been existing in the history of the kingdom. The Sibaya was graced by Her Majesty the Ndlovukazi as sounds of joy were heard when Her Majesty entered the Kekliparium. Also present at the Sibaya were the royal family, the cabinet chiefs, Amabandla, and the diplomatic community. The nation had high expectations that His Majesty will give guidance on a way forward for the country and ensure that it continues to enjoy the peace that has existed over the years. Whistles and sounds of joy were heard from the dongs of Mswati when His Majesty entered the Kekliparium. Addressing the nation, the King and Ingwenyama applauded the tremendous development in the kingdom. The King said infrastructure development is on a high standard as the country now has good quality roads. Rural electrification is also on a high level and the health sector has greatly developed. His Majesty said the development and success is due to the peace and unity amongst the Mswati. The Ingwenyama has dissolved the parliament due to the elections exercise that has commenced in the kingdom.
Na sekusukuma likhetho vele siye side la sibayeni kuto kwathi ukuthi ke umsebenzi uyosuka emakhaya iyosuka ukuthi sesawukhetha labo lesibakhetha lesithandaza ukuthi uNkulunkulu nemadlodi batawuba nathi nasenda lo msebenzi nawo siwende ngekuthula nangekubambisana lokukhulu bekunene. bekunene nembala ke njoba sekusukuma umsebenzi lona usho kona ukuthi njoba iParliamente leyakithi beyisolo iqhuba umsebenzi namuhla seyitawuguqa kutokwati kuyosetshenzwa kuyokhethwa bekunene.
His Majesty also reminded the nation about the qualities and the type of parliamentarians that the nation is supposed to elect.
Sithandaza ukuthi na kusetshenzwa lo msebenzi wonke angabese sokuba khona lo vakala ukuthi mina ngifikele kulabanye kusuku batongisongela ukuthi hey bangangibona lapha ngidalithotha lolimandi esigabeni sekuthi wonke umuntu nasikhuluma ngakuthi ku free and fair nguloyo akatiyele boxini nangabe uhlulekile ke libhokisi lefike la selithi hayi cha akuhambi kahle kuthi khanyele kona nje hayi kwekuthi kumbe kukhona lobe kuhle kumjubela ngendlela ngoba kuhle kuqhamuka ebusuku especially kungahlwa basi kungahlwa kwenile bese ke kuphike kuba khona ukujubela ukuthi kube betele tothi kabaleto eMswati asebende nje umsebenzi welikhetho kube kuhle enine bekunene.
The king also highlighted on free and fair elections that the kingdom should observe.
Siyakholwa ke ukuthi sive siyawukhetha sive labaqotho ngoba nembala balesa tinfungo enkosini letawusebenza ngato bantu labatawuhlonipha bathandze live babeke live embili balisabe bangabeki timfiso tabo embili esigabeni sekuthi nasi sebenzela live kube live lelihamba embili kwengane tindvo tethu lesinato tethu temakaya bekunene.
His Majesty has also promised a dialogue for the nation as the Mswati will be called to the People's Parliament after the elections. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia at Eswatini Rural Residence.
His Excellency, the Right Honourable Prime Minister Cleopas Sipho Dlamini has left the country for Botswana, where he will represent His Majesty King Mswati III and the nation on the 15th US-Africa Business Summit of the Corporate Council of Africa on Africa, CCA. Now, the summit, which began today on the 11th of July 2023, ends on Friday, the 14th of July 2023, and is being held at the Royal Area in Gaborone in Botswana under the theme Enhancing Africa's Value in Global Value Chains. Now, His Excellency is expected to headline a high-level dialogue on enhancing Africa's value in digital and cyber services value chains and roundtable on ICT, challenges and opportunities for the digitalization agenda, to be held on Wednesday, the 12th of July 2023. Now, the statement is by Alpheus Ngomalo, the government spokesperson. Now that Parliament has been dissolved, you may ask yourself that what happens next. The Constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini provides in Section 133, subsection 4, that a general election shall be held within 60 days. Now, within 90 days, the first sitting of the next House of Assembly has to be convened. Now, the Constitution also provides for the recalling of Parliament in Section 135. Now, the section states that the King, in consultation with the Speaker and President of the dissolved Parliament, may summon the preceding chambers of Parliament if a need be in period between dissolving the Parliament and the next general election. The sitting of these two chambers shall be as if they had not been dissolved. These chambers shall be dissolved after an emergency sitting or on the day of the general election. These legislators can sit for purposes of enacting a law. Operations in schools around the country in Mbabane proceeded normal on Tuesday. Although the nation had been summoned to the royal cattle prayer at Eswatini, the Ministry of Education and Training was able to coordinate properly to ensure that pupils are not left unattended and learning continues. Our reporters visited several schools to see how the schools operated.
It is often said that when the cat is away, mice will play. This was not the case in schools around Mbabane, despite some teachers attending Sibaya. Sibaya was open to all the Mswati, including teachers and transport drivers who take pupils to school. In some of the schools visited, head teachers and some teachers in others were not at their workstations. Some people may have expected that the absence of some head teachers will mean chaos at schools, but that was not the case. Pupils were found in class doing their work. Even in primary school, pupils who would be expected to be disorderly with minimum supervision, pupils were found doing their schoolwork. Those found outside their classrooms were either on break or going to the restroom. This speaks to good coordination by the Ministry of Education and Training in terms of ensuring that teachers are able to attend Sibaya while others remain behind and ensure that the learning process continues. This also speaks to Eswatini's commitment to education and ensuring a bright future for young Mswati. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Nosipho Sibanze and Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
After the cold front that was experienced on Monday, the temperatures will continue to be less than 20 degrees Celsius this week. According to meteorologist Pepisa Slongonyane, he says temperatures will improve on Sunday. Slongonyane was speaking when giving an update about the cold front the country is experiencing.
Following the very cold weather warning by the Meteorology Department, Mswati should brace themselves for a cold week. According to the meteorologist Pepisa Slongonyane, other parts of the country experienced the snow on Monday.
Lesimo siyaqala siyashintsha kusaqhubeka level so empeleni namuhla la sibheke khona ukuthi emazinga eshisa aqale enyuka kepha kwenyuka kwawo solo mlangeni enkangala yethu ngoba sesibuya khona enkangala lemazinga eshisa solo ataba ngaphasi kwa20 shokusathi abahlela ko15 16 14 ko15 ataba lapho cishe lonke leliviki imehluko inguquko le phatheka usayibona ngesondo.
Sihlongonyane says the temperatures are expected to improve gradually, with temperatures remaining below 20 degrees Celsius even in the low field. Slongonyane says the high field will continue to experience extreme cold temperatures until Sunday. He says that sunny intervals are expected this week, although it won't be warm. The last time the Kingdom of Eswatini experienced snow was around 1996. Sihlongonyane assured Mswati that rains are not expected this week. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Themba Shabango, Mbabane.
The United Nations Populations Fund's head of office, Margaret Twala Tembe, commends the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini for signing the third-party procurement agreement for the reproductive health commodities. Twala says this agreement will help reduce preventable maternal deaths and reduce the unmet needs for family planning by preventing stockouts. Twala was speaking when delivering a statement on the World Population Day held in the United Nations office in Mbabane.
In effort to constantly remind governments to harness the power of every human being in the planet, the United Nations celebrates the World Population Day, which seeks to improve sexual and reproductive health services. The UNFPA head of office, Margaret Twala Tembe, says government is working on improving lives of Mswati as the UNFPA has partnered with WHO, the Ministry of Health, to conduct an assessment of unintended pregnancies in Eswatini. Twala says there is a lot that needs to be done in preventable measures against maternal deaths. Twala says other worrying indicators shows a link between gender-based violence and early unintended pregnancy as 1 in 3 women in Eswatini experiences violence before turning 18 years old.
Sesiqalile nje lokusebenzisana singama partners la ngu4 ahulumende wakangwane ukuthi simbambise ekuthini phela make siyamdinga nje likhaya nje lelinamake kuyabaswa bekwelibhodwe etiko bantwana make noma ngasebenza emarket uyakhona ukuthi umntwana wakhe amgcokise amfundise akhiphe isifundiso akhiphe bominister akhiphe lo so siyabadinga vele bomake ukuze silelive lithuthuke.
Indicators shows that by 2030, the population is estimated to be around 8.5 billion. Currently in Eswatini, the fertility rate stands at 3 children. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni Tembashabangu Mbabane.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security Scholarship Department notifies students who wish to study in local tertiary institutions that they can now start submitting their study loan applications for the academic year 2023-2024 through our online platform www.slas.gov.sz www.slas.gov.sz, which will be live until the 7th of August 2023. Students are also notified that all applications should be made online, as manual applications will not be accepted. Only those with acceptance letters from local tertiary institutions that are supported by government will be considered for scholarships. Students are also encouraged to thoroughly read and understand all instructions before filling in and submitting their applications. These instructions are available on the landing page of our online platform www.slas.gov.sz www.slas.gov.sz. Now, this announcement is by the Principal Secretary, Makosini Mdawe. Moving right along, Mangoba Ngwenya, who was unsuccessful in the local Nhlangano Wat 3 local government elections, has taken the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Nhlangano Town Council, and the Wat 3 councillor-elect to court. Ngwenya wants the court to stop the ministry and town council from swearing in the councillor-elect into office because of various allegations, including allegedly campaigning on voting day. The ministry has opposed the application and claims Ngwenya is failing to accept defeat.
Mangoba Ngwenya, who was unsuccessful in the recent local government elections where he contested to be the Nhlangano Wat 3 councillor, has told the court that the elections were not free and fair. He has alleged that the winner, Sifiso Matsebula, campaigned on the day of voting despite this being illegal. Ngwenya has narrated to the court that he reported this to police and polling officials, but nothing was done about the matter. He also narrated to the court that Wat 3 voting stations were opened about 5 hours after they were scheduled to start operation, resulting in some voters not being able to vote. Ngwenya has told the court that some voters were turned back without voting because they did not have their national identity cards with them, yet they had their registration certificates. The Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, through Acting Principal Secretary Makosi Simelane, filed an affidavit stating that the elections were free and fair. The ministry has told the court that Ngwenya is failing to accept defeat and it sympathizes with him. However, voters made their decision through the ballot. This matter is expected back in court on Friday before Judge Nkosinathi Masego. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Nosipho Sbanze.
Mkwacha Mhlanga of Moyeni area in the Manzini region is destined for an improved livelihood since he is now an agripreneur, thanks to MTN, who has supported him with a newly constructed 2-unit pigsty and an artificially inseminated breeding stock to help him earn a living.
MTN Eswatini began the construction of the pigsty in the month of June during this year's MTN 21 Days of Yellow Care program in order to assist Mkwacha to improve his pork business. MTN Eswatini's lead customer experience, Diniwe Fagose, expresses the company's gratitude to all stakeholders who made this project a success.
Uyathi masifika la khaya lesithandze kakhulu singe-MTN ngabe asichubekanga mkhulu. Kuloko ukuthi sizabona lokho ukuthi asikedi kusamkelo kuphela. Sithi ekhaya lapho nibambana khona.
The chairperson of the Career Expo Tax team, Thembisile Hlophe, says seeing positive spin-offs from the Career Expos gives them the impetus to continue hosting them in the 4 regions of the country for the benefit of Mswati, as Mkwaja was identified from such expos.
Siyatfokota kubona ithelo le-Career Expo lesihlale siyenza njalo ngeminyaka. Sizathu sayo kusuke ukuthi umfulo omusha atokuthuthuka lizinga lekweswelakala kwemisebenzi lokwehla.
Mkwaja appeals to his customers to be faithful with payment, as he sometimes supplies them on credit.
Ngikhumbula kahle mangiqala ngisaqupha ingulube bengithe imoto but nginababetha ukhona la wangithatha first day waya kuyomquphiso wangilayishela sayiqoba angifune emakhastoma ngawadilivela.
MTN Eswatini promises to hold Mkwaja's hand as he grows his business until he employs other youth. Reporting for Eswatini TV, Mbongwa Dube, Tamima Buza in Babane.
We shift gears now into the world of business as we take a look at our financial indicators to see our markets for today in our financial report. Welcome back, and now we take a look at news-making headlines in the world of sports. And just in breaking news, Slango has once again crashed out in the group stages of the ongoing CASAFA Cup in Durban in the Republic of South Africa. Dominic-led charges were beaten by host nation Bafana Bafana by 2-1 in the finals game of Group C. Now, moving right along, the Confederation of South Africa Taekwondo Federation President Moshoeshoe Molapo says the Kingdom of Eswatini is amongst the best in the region when it comes to Taekwondo. Molapo says countries in the region can learn a lot from Eswatini. Molapo was speaking during his visit to the country where he attended the Next Generation event held this past weekend.
I can only say we need to encourage our NOCs and the national sports commissions to support Taekwondo more. It's an expensive sport, so and without the necessary equipment, especially here in Eswatini, I think Taekwondo is one of the best performing sport code. So they require support. They need support. They need to be supported so that even better results or more results could be seen. This is one of our objectives. This is one of our initiatives. We always initiate, and Eswatini is coming up well because they were to even host the athletes, the joint athletes training camp. So these are some of the things that we believe, if they are done and they are conducted properly, we can see the light. Yes. Yeah, you know, Taekwondo in our region is a podium performance sport. So we need to have as many competitions of this nature as possible. We are recommending that each one of our member countries host this sort of events. Perhaps in a year we should have at least 4 to 5 events of this nature. But it is also good for our sport in that during the award ceremony, we have athletes from Taekwondo and athletes who participated in one of our major events like the Region 5 Games.
Well, with those sports news, we hit the home stretch of the news bulletin at 8 at Eswatini TV. But before we go, here's a quick reminder of news-making headlines tonight. The King and Ingwenyama, His Majesty King Mswati III, has dissolved the Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini at Sibaya. The temperatures will continue to be less than 20 degrees this week. The United Nations Population Fund commends the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini for signing the third-party procurement agreement for the reproductive health commodities. Beautiful Kingdom of Eswatini. That's all we had for you from the news desk. We shall now cross over to the Weather Center for a detailed weather report from us and the rest of the team here at Eswatini TV. For now, it's good night and God bless.
Sive sasengqulwini sesibhalisile bhaliseke kahle sinibonga kakhulu sesingena ke nyalo esigabeni sesibili sekuhlakula lamagama labhalisiwe kubuka ukuthi liphile ningalati liphile niladiko sitakubita sive kusukela mhla ka 22 June kuya ku 12 July kutabe kuhlungwa lamagama labhalisiwe ukuthi angawo yini nine bekunene.
Yebo nduna. Ngumbonile nje lomunye lapha ephepheni kuthiwa wakasmuggling. Ngapha umuntu wakasmuggling kodwa la engqulini ungakubi. Uliqinisile kufuneka sikubukisise lokho ngoba labantu ngibo laba labasonela lolukhetho. Sicela ukuthi nduna ukusebenze kakhulu lokho kokwathi ukuthi sikhethe abantu lokungibona abafanele kulomphakathi.
Mswati lamahle asambeni siyohlakula loluhla. Kwenta isiqiniseko ukuthi imininingwane yethu ibhaliseke kahle.
Here, while some sleep on